Hey guys, it's Lola with Grateful Gratitude, and we're trying something new today, so bear with us. Mark is still recovering. Friedman is my producer. I now have Kris Gross as my producer. He's with Frito Nation, and I'm very blessed because Kris, you and I are of different ages. I really could be your mother because my daughter is about the same age as you, but I love that because you're bringing a whole different perspective to this podcast and these videos. And, it's amazing that how God works and how even though Frito is rebuilding his strength and learning to walk and talk and do all that again, which he's moving forward beautifully, God's gifted me with you to fill in. And so today we're kind of going off script. Normally we're prepared, but I've asked Kris to do this with me today, just talking about something that God has laid on his heart, and maybe we can just talk from there.
Yeah, so I guess if the one thing I'm I don't know if it's a struggle or what I'm really thinking through right now is, what is the best way for us to interact with the non-believing world? What is a way where we can come around people who maybe don't have the same faith as us, and we can find a way to make a positive impact in their life, or to just have a good presence in ourselves, so that maybe we can start a conversation. That's what I've been thinking about. What is the way that God wants me to interact with somebody that doesn't have my faith, without it feeling like I'm trying to push Jesus down their throat? Do you know what I'm saying? Where I can come in a friendly manner, and maybe there's a conversation that can come out of that.
Well, I definitely think we are living in a very secular world. And I think that's very unfortunate because with God's blessings, life is so much easier. But I recently read an article, Kris, that said a lot of people are turning away from Christianity because someone in a church has judged them or has exactly what you said, shoved Jesus down their throat. And that's not how we need to approach things. We need to reintroduce Christianity to people. And really, Jesus was a man here on earth, God here on earth, that showed us kindness and showed us love. And I always say that is the simplest way to help people understand Christianity, that we are kind to others and we do for others. That helps just plant the seed. What do you think?
I think sometimes, Lolo, a lot of times I think that people have an unfair opinion of Christians, or that they think of us wrongly. But then the more I think about it, sometimes it's probably not you or I individually, but I think we as believers have brought some of this on ourselves, like you said, in the way that we can judge, in the way, it's almost, you wouldn't in most churches, it would be weird if you saw somebody walk in, with tattoos and his sleeves cut off, right? And he doesn't fit the image. But shouldn't we as Christians want everybody, no matter what they look like, no matter how they're dressed, to come into the church? And so I feel like sometimes we bring up this upon ourselves. And when we get into that mindset, I think we are more closely to the religious leaders in Jesus's day than Jesus himself, who was asking, why are you around these sinners? Why are you eating with the tax collectors? Why have you surrounded yourself with these people? And the more we think about it, like you said, these are the people who need our love. And these are the people who we need to be surrounding ourselves with. So you're right. I think it requires a different attitude. And that different attitude, played out by more people over a longer stretch of time, can maybe change the public persona, or the public opinion of what we are as Christians.
I definitely agree. And I think that I've heard, just with people who I have counseled, they've said, well, the minister of my church, kind of did fire and brimstone, and yet he got caught in an affair with someone else. So they lose trust and the
Yeah.
people teaching. And I think that if people take it upon themselves to get a very realistic translation of the Bible, it's hard to read the King James Version. And I can't sit down with someone who doesn't know Jesus and, say, well, God has a mighty sword that's going to protect you. That's not our daily terms. If we say God is almighty and powerful and he's always there for you, if we change our terminology a little bit or say God's power is like weapons of mass destruction. I mean, we understand how powerful that is. And sometimes I recommend to people, get a children's Bible, read Bible stories so it's easier to understand and take small bites, because every day you take a small bite, you're going to grow closer to God.
I agree 100%. And I'm in the same boat as you. The King James Version, it's almost like in one ear and out the other sometimes. So you're right. Get a Bible translation that you understand. And I believe most of the ones that you can find out there, whether they're in Christian bookstores or you can find online, are going to be a faithful translation that is going to get the message across to you. And what you mentioned about the preacher who is so strong in his convictions and in what he says, and he's portraying something that he's not. And I heard someone speaking on this within the last week. I think it was a podcast I was listening to. And we as Christians, we just have to make it clear that it's not when you begin your relationship with Jesus Christ, all of a sudden you become this sinless being and you become a person who is perfect and you can leave every ounce of sin away. Now, we try to walk away from that, but we are still fallen people and we are still going to make mistakes. So if we don't set this unreal expectation for people is that, hey, I'm a level above you, I'm living a life that is more important, that is more pure, that is more clean than yours, then I don't think we run into that issue. Because if everyone understands that, hey, I'm just like you, I'm a person who's going to fall, who's going to sin, then I don't think we set ourselves up for that loss of trust, because I do understand that. And I believe that there are a lot of people who have turned away from the faith because they've had trust in someone and there's some kind of moral failure that has drawn them away.
I agree so much. I think when I started my ministry, the most important thing that I told people is, I'm not a wordsmith. I'm not a good speaker, but I'm going to be genuine and authentic, and I'm going to pour my heart out. And I tell my story of being married to a man that was addicted to alcohol and methamphetamine and trying to shelter a small child from that. I mean, I'm going to tell you because I'm broken. But I'm also going to show you that I was so broken that my only way to come through it was with God and gratitude. And when you open yourself up and you make yourself vulnerable to others, I think that's also another way to show that Christians will admit that Jesus was drawn to sinners, and he would be drawn to you as well. So don't hide your flaws, and don't be afraid to share that or have someone judge you.
And you brought up something I actually thought about when I was driving in the car yesterday. And I had this thought that I probably wouldn't tell this to somebody who's not a believer, because it comes across a little harsh. But I really sometimes just wonder how people who don't have Jesus in their life can do it. Because there are days where I go through it and I'm just so grateful for that relationship that I have. And I think, man, I couldn't do this on my own. I couldn't do this with Jesus. And this isn't a faith, that, okay, now I'm the mighty one, I'm the pure one, and I can do this by myself because I've had some kind of, regeneration and I'm now living a different life. It's a continued reliance on Jesus. And I think the beautiful thing about that is like you said, that he is a person who we can count on for everything. We can go to him with anything, no matter what it is in our life. Maybe it is when I'm struggling with hey, how do I talk to this person? I want to begin a conversation with this person. I know that if I go into that conversation with Christ beside me, I'm way better off than if I tried to do it on my own.
Yeah. And I think in just closing this video, I would let's hit those points again. Just be kind, be patient. listen to what they're saying, listen to why they're confused about Christianity. Use simple words, and if nothing else, say nothing. I mean, if you really just need to let them say what they need to say, sometimes we're better off saying nothing. And that's a great kindness.
And one thing, I'm just going to say one more thing. I don't know anybody who's come to a relationship with Jesus Christ because they lost an argument, or someone that ended up at the end of a Facebook long conversation, long drawn out fight in the Facebook comments has ended up coming to Christ. It's like you said, it requires that personal relationship, and that's what's going to bring people there. It's not that you're the smartest. It's not that you're the best apologetic believer, in your area. It's that personal relationship and showing them how Jesus loves us. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Kris. That was a great video, and we will see you again soon.